Pat, how have you been,
Yo,
buddy?
what's going on, brother? You know, another day, another dollar, as I like to say.
Yeah.
How you been?
What do we have? Dude, I've been actually pretty good.
Any big plans for the weekend?
Um, just the podcast. I've been kind of looking forward to this.
Yeah,
So yeah,
got some big UFC fights on tonight, so I'm pretty fired up about that. And then me and Alex are going to the rodeo tomorrow, the rodeo final, because I guess the whole thing to do in Colorado in the month of January is hit up the stock show.
yeah, the stock show is huge.
So yeah, so that's the
So
plans for the weekend.
so what do we have going on? I'm gonna put the camera on you, and I'm gonna fix this boom.
Yeah, for sure. Got some big news today in the podcast world for Mostly Relative. We're having a guest on. So gonna bring a guest in. That's it's pretty exciting. Opening up new realms for the podcast world. If you want to come on, let me know. I'm looking at you. And we can get this all figured out. Yeah, just send us your email and all that good stuff, and then we'll figure out a time that works for everybody, and then we'll get you on here. You know, doesn't have to be you don't have to be famous or anything like that. You know, you could just be the natural, regular person. And then we're gonna get into the Epstein shit that's been popping off recently. Most of you, probably if not all of you, haven't heard about it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to shed some light on what the hell's been going on with that. And then we're going to hop over to how Meta, the owners of Facebook and Instagram, are allowing non-binary and trans people to post topless pictures. But if you're a, female that has been born with the gift of breasts and a virginie, then you're not allowed to. So stay tuned.
We're also gonna get into a little bit of JFK and some conspiracy theories as
Oh yeah,
well.
and Alec Baldwin. Pop over to him.
Alec
and
Baldwin.
See what the fuck's going on with that. and
Shout
how
out to their
everybody-
armorer.
Yeah.
Thanks for killing one of the best, people in Hollywood, the cinematographer.
It's crazy because, as much as everybody, wants to blame Alec Baldwin, which it's a touchy subject, but yes, I do believe it's his job to figure out if the gun is loaded with a bullet or not. But it's also the armorer's job to make sure that that bullet is fucking a dud. I mean, that's just my opinion, though.
So we'll actually ask Mindy about this too, because I think she has some experience as an actual armorer. I'm not sure. Mindy, give me a thumbs up if you were ever an armorer. No, so she says no, but you would know essentially like what to do, right? And if you didn't look up what this person looked like for the armorer of Alec Baldwin, you would immediately tell that she had no business being in that position. And it's insane. Like, veterans struggle with finding jobs, right? There's a lot of veterans out there that are homeless and all this other stuff that have incredible skills when it comes to gun safety, and yet they hire someone that has no experience in that. Like, I don't really want to get into it, but like that far, because I don't know the story. Like, why would there even be a live round in that encampment for a freaking movie shoot? Like, how would the armorer allow a live round in their armory when they're handling weapons that are supposed to be props? It's insane. But I don't know. It just kind of is what it is. Pat, as a civilian with little to no experience with guns, which Pat's actually doing a training with me in March.
Yeah.
With a bunch of buddies of mine, going to go out and do some live fire drills. Pat has literally no experience when it comes to firearms, except for a little bit.
No, I know. So my buddy's got a 9mm that I went and shot. He's got I forgot what kind of assault rifle he has, but he has an assault rifle, and I've gone shooting with him a couple times. So it's not like I don't have any. I know, like, the
Like, how many hours total how many hours on the range
like,
do you think you have?
I don't know, 4 or 5 hours.
So, like, it's not none, but you probably have about what an average civilian might have, maybe a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
But with where you're at right now, with all the experience that you have with firearms, what is your initial take? Take like my take my bias out of it as to what I said already about it.
Yeah.
Would you blame Alec Baldwin or would you blame the armorer?
From my standpoint, I blame the armorer because their job is to make sure that these things don't happen. Essentially, right? Like if it was Alec Baldwin's fault, then he'd be the one that goes through the weapons and makes sure that there's no live rounds inside of the actual weapon. Her job and probably inside of her contract says that, you do all these things, you make sure there's no live rounds. So I believe that although, yes, Alec Baldwin did shoot the gun, I don't think that it's his fault because it wasn't his job. His job was to be an actor. His job wasn't to go through the gun and make sure that there's no live rounds in there.
I would say that, like with my experience, if you're handling a weapon, if you have positive control over any type of weapon, it is your fucking responsibility to make sure that you are safe with it. You're not pointing at anyone. You're not you treat every gun like it's loaded with a fucking live round. So even if you're in Hollywood, I would probably clear it, make sure, hold the fucking dummy round up. This is a dummy round. I'm about to fucking fake shoot Pat in the face. And then hopefully it doesn't actually shoot in the face.
Yeah.
It's a complete fucking debacle and someone died. Someone fucking died.
Yeah.
And no one wants to take any like accountability or any like responsibility for anything. And it's completely fucked. Completely fucked.
Do you think that this Gutierrez Reed girl had any type of firearm training prior to getting this job?
Dude, I don't know. Like I my guess is going to be a big no, but I will be happy to make a redaction on the next podcast if it comes out that she's like an ex fucking SEER person for the Air Force or something.
I don't know, just looking at the picture, dude, she can't be over the age of 24, 25.
Dude, and these people make tons of cash. Like she's working on a gigantic movie set with superstars, right? And I just don't get it. I've watched too many episodes of Entourage to know that
that's a good fucking show.
Like every episode of Entourage where there's any type of firearms or any safety or whatever. Like I don't know if you listen to Victory the podcast, but they have like so it's the actual guys from Entourage that actually do that podcast. And they talk about, it's awesome because if you want to get into Hollywood, watch that podcast because they talk about what it's like being a key grip or what it's like being, a producer or like outside of just what you see, what it takes to actually be a boom operator in Hollywood, right? And in those shows, it's really interesting because in the actual show, right? There's like a few episodes where Vince has to work. He was Aquaman, right? He has to work this like spear gun. Mm-hmm. And it's like an actual like ex-Navy SEAL that's like training him how to do that.
Right.
And that guy actually worked in Hollywood as an expert or a consultant when it comes to, anything that has to do with safety or anything like that. So I have to get better with my speech on the podcast. I feel like I'm saying like and as and all this other stupid shit.
It's actually funny because the other day me and Alex were just watching TV and I noticed that every other word that I say is So it's like, we'll be talking, be like, and then it's like, why the fuck do you just use random ass filler words?
Dude, we're going to be amazing presenters, like, by episode, 30.
I know.
Like, we're going to be like, let's go.
Yeah. But, so, what do you think should happen here? Do you think they both should go to jail? You think they should have to pay? What do you think should happen? Should one person go to jail? Should they both go to jail? How do you look at it?
Well, nothing that anything is going to do in the justice system is ever going to bring that woman back.
Right. No, facts.
So it's the fact that a life was lost. Hollywood needs to take that job a lot more fucking seriously.
Have some accountability.
Be like, hey, we're actually gonna only hire ex cops. We're only gonna hire ex, military, ex security forces people. Shout out to security forces, and hopefully get more vets in the Hollywood system.
Yeah,
and that's what I think the biggest thing is that Hollywood should take it a lot more seriously,
Yeah.
for sure. As far as like what should happen to Gutierrez and Baldwin, they both should probably be in jail. I think that Gutierrez should probably do more time,
Mm-hmm.
but women typically don't do as much time as men for the same crimes, which is unfortunate. But
yeah.
I think that Baldwin and Gutierrez are probably going to get the same, like, 1.5 years, 2 years in jail, probably.
What I don't want to happen is the fact that I'm pretty sure Gutierrez got this job because of her father. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't want that to have any influence
Nepotism,
on her not getting the same charges as Baldwin, or
Yeah.
if not worse. Because like I said, ultimately I think it was her job and it's her fault. Yes, you could say that she wasn't the one that pulled the trigger, but it was her job and it was probably in her contract to make sure that this type of shit doesn't happen. That's why she's on the movie set, right? Like, as her job as an armorer is to make sure that shit that goes on with guns and stuff like that does not end up in a fatal circumstance like this.
No, it's true.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. What else you got?
You want to pop over to this Jeffrey Epstein thing that's going on?
I know very little about Jeffrey Epstein aside from he is a pedophile that convinced other celebrities and top name people to also bang underage chicks.
Yeah. So, apparently J.P. Morgan was not funding, but knew about this whole thing that was going on with Jeffrey Epstein.
Do you think JP Morgan got involved in some of that?
I don't know if they were, dipping their hands in the pot, so to speak, but they definitely.
You're such an idiot for saying like that.
But I definitely think that. I'd not think it. There's, articles and shit that say that they knew exactly what was going on and they did nothing about it.
Can I just kind of say what I think what actually happened?
Yeah.
Nothing about the alleged suicide or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I think Jeffrey Epstein bought the island, however he did, and was like, "Hey, I own this island.
I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I
No,
want."
it's no. There are different states that have different laws when it comes to consent.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, I'm fucking the king of this island, and I'm saying consent is at 14 years old." In Alaska, I'm pretty sure if you're 20, you can like bang like a 15 or 16-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Don't quote him on it.
Don't quote me, but I definitely know the consent laws are a lot more relaxed in Alaska than they are in other parts of the country. So I'm thinking Epstein convinced all these people to come onto Fuck Island or whatever they call it. And it's like, hey, the consent laws are 15 plus and there's no recourse that anyone can take.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. I personally wouldn't fuck a 15-year-old or 16-year-old personally. I prefer them right around 22. But yeah.
No, but apparently, so for all of those people that are watching that don't know, Jeffrey Epstein was convicted for soliciting minors in 2008 in Palm Beach, Florida. And after that, J.P. Morgan failed to report all of the other suspicious activity that was going on after 2018, knowing he was convicted for soliciting minors in 2008.
Wait.
2008.
Hold on. So J.P. Morgan knew that Jeffrey Epstein was doing this fucked up shit.
Yep.
They proved it.
Yep.
And J.P. Morgan didn't report, so that kind of makes them an accessory.
Yeah, correct. So, like, why isn't this being brought to light? That's my question, right? So it's like there's all this other stuff that J.P. Morgan knows about, like that there was different types of financial footprints and stuff like that was going on, and the deals and the clients that Epstein was promising to J.P. Morgan. So maybe that could be a factor into as why they didn't, come out and shed the light on this type of thing. So that could be one of the reasons.
I I struggle with what I would do, right? Say I'm an up and coming movie star or an up and coming billionaire or whatever working at Goldman Sachs,
Yeah.
and they say, "Hey, do you want to come to Epstein Island?" Back in like '05 or '06 or
Yeah.
whenever all that shit was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Just the networking. If you look at some of the people that were on those planes, imagine
dude.
flying for fucking 8 hours on a plane with
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, fucking
Donald
all
Trump.
those top people, Donald Trump, right? It's like all these people that were just on that flight. I would go just for the networking.
Yeah.
I'm
But,
not
but
saying-
okay, but knowing what you know now.
No, fuck no, I wouldn't
Right.
go, obviously.
Yeah.
But man, someone might soundbite that in 10 years and be like, Jeff Pearson said that he'd fucking
Go
fly.
to Jeffrey Epstein's island. No, but it's fucked up too because
well, hold on. In my defense, in 03, 04, I was 17. So if I knew there were 17-year-old chicks there and I'm 17, fuck you. Fuck yeah, I'm going.
But you know, all these transactions and stuff like that, they were approved. They were approved by like senior level people at JP Morgan.
What?
So like diving deeper into it, it's like the people that were pulling these strings were like high up people, which in what I think is like they were the same people that were sweeping it under the carpet, you know?
So do you think JP Morgan had Jeffrey Epstein killed? If I'm a prison guard, and we can ask Mindy about this because I think you were at Buka too, right? If someone paid me $10 million to fucking whack someone, an argument can be made. That's all I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Have they uncovered any transactions from JP Morgan or an official at JP Morgan to a guard or guards at whatever prison Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good point, though. But it also does say that the account that Jeffrey Epstein had open at the J.P. Morgan Chase, the principal of it was for human trafficking. So, like all this stuff is in the articles. It's like, but people don't know about these articles for the same reason why they don't know why Jeffrey Epstein hung himself, right? It's like, why aren't these articles getting as much spotlight as Andrew Tate? And now that brings me into, did they use the Andrew Tate thing to cover up these articles? Because Andrew Tate was arrested on December 29th, and this article was released on December 30th.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The amount of spotlight and everything that Andrew Tate gets, they so happily arrested him on the 29th, and then holy shit, all this shit's coming out, and then on the 30th they released this article. Could it be a coincidence?
I don't think I know where you're going there. I think it's a bad play if that's what they're playing because you heard about it, right? There's shit that happens that gets buried.
Yeah.
Like the fucking UFO thing.
Yeah.
That the government, they like came out with the UFO thing and then like a day later something bigger happened.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and it's like, and it just got fucking buried and no one gave a fuck.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that I don't think Andrew Tate is nearly as big as the Epstein story.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to cover up a story like the Epstein story, why wouldn't they use, I don't know, Joe Biden got caught jerking off on some fucking intern in the White House?
I mean, because that's the president of the United States.
Happened with Clinton.
Yeah. But I think right now the amount of traction that Andrew Tate has and the audience that Andrew Tate has and how many people hate him and how many people love him, I think it's a great play. I do. Because the amount of people that actually follow him and are trying to figure out, did he actually human traffic people? Think about it. It's kind of fucked up, but they're using a human trafficking play to cover up a human trafficking play. Kind of crazy, right?
It's a solid point for sure. It's a super solid point, but yeah.
I don't know, but I think a lot of people don't know about this shit, so.
No, it's true.
And nobody really wants to talk about it either. So why shouldn't we be the ones to talk about this stuff? Shed some light on these topics. Like I think it's fucked up that JP Morgan knew about all this shit, did absolutely nothing about it. Are they going to be held accountable?
Probably not.
Why? Because they're such a big company and they could just pay off whoever the fuck they want to pay off.
I mean, again, an argument can be made. How many people does J.P. Morgan employ?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
It's in the thousands.
Yeah.
Right. It's in the tens of thousands, I would assume.
Yeah.
And how much money are they in charge of? Once a J.P. Morgan Chase is $1 trillion company. So let's say if you take down J.P. Morgan, like they go bank, or what's going to happen to all those employees?
Yeah.
Like Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, all those people already laid off tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Like the recession is coming.
Yeah,
like it is fucking coming, and it's coming quick.
I just saw that Google just laid off like 15,000 employees. But not
Yeah.
to get off topic, but like there's hard evidence showing that there's wire transactions and there was cash transactions to the victims and the recruiters. So it's like if there's evidence, how can that not be brought up? You know what I mean? Like there's
No,
evidence
it's
of
true.
the wire transactions and cash transactions to the recruiters and also the victims. So it's like,
And J.P. Morgan, but how do they know? Like, how does the banker? So let's say I pay you to do something illegal.
Yeah.
Right. Say I pay you $50,000 to do something illegal,
Yeah.
like insert illegal activity, murder or whatever.
Yep.
How does the banker know if I take out $50K out of my checking account
Yeah.
and give you cash? How does the banker know what that $50K is used for?
I don't think the actual banker knows, but those senior level employees at JP Morgan know what the fuck's going on.
But how do they know how do they actually know?
I mean, I don't know, but the Department of Justice, the Department of Justice proved that they're being covered up.
So the DOJ has some level of involvement for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Then that's fucked up. I mean, the fucking Department of Justice, they don't fuck around when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a little bit crazy.
But my thing is like, why is this not getting the same traction as the metaverse allowing non-binary and transgender people to post topless pictures on social media?
I'll have to see an article on that because I actually have been seeing a lot more like pornographic. I actually posted it on my Twitter of how many fucking I report so much pornographic activity on my Instagram.
Yeah.
It's insane. But you're saying that
Why isn't the Jeffrey Epstein, JP Morgan stuff getting as much traction as the Meta, Instagram and Facebook allow non-binary and transgender people
I can answer that question right now
post topless pictures?
because it's not impacting anyone's life right now yet. All it is that it's a change in policy. But once people start seeing naked pictures of whoever the fuck on their Facebook, they're gonna start caring for sure. So, like people typically don't care about stuff that doesn't impact their daily lives.
Yeah.
Right? Talk about people not having water in Africa and they're dying of starvation. No one gives a fuck here because, not to say no one, but most people don't give a fuck here because it doesn't impact their, you know what I mean, their fucking lives. No one gives a fuck about climate change right now or global warming right now because it's not really impacting anyone's lives. You know what I'm saying? So with this whole Facebook policy change, no one's going to care until they start seeing the naked pictures.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's fucked up though to goes back to the whole inclusion thing, right? It's like you want people to feel more included, but you're going to let non-binary and transgender people post naked pictures on social media, but you're not going to allow a regular female to post naked pictures on Instagram. Either way, it's fucked up. You shouldn't be posting naked pictures on social media. But if you're going to allow one demon to happen, let them both,
No, I definitely see your point there for sure. And I don't think anyone should be taking any naked pictures of themselves at all, ever. I mean, people get blackmailed for that shit all the time.
Yeah, no, but now it's cool if you're a transgender female posting naked pictures on, because you're a fucking hero. You're a superhero if you're a transgender person nowadays. It's
I'm a little bit behind on the terms.
Yeah.
A transgender female, is that
that's
a dude that turns into a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a non-binary is like, hey, I identify as neither. So technically, I guess if you're nothing, then, you know, you can do it anyways. But like, so like, it says, you know, in 2013, I don't know if you remember this, but it was like the free the nipple free the nipple phase.
I'm for that.
Yeah, right. 2013, Instagram, Facebook completely abolished that. Cannot do it. We don't want anything to do with that. We don't want to see it. Don't want to hear it. Nothing. Take it off. Come to 2021, 2022, 23, really. Now we're gonna let people that aren't what they were born as post naked pictures because it makes them feel more inclusive. I don't know, kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. No, it's I don't know. I have friends that are trans. I don't know anyone that's male to female. All my trans friends are female to male.
Mm-hmm.
And they're cool. Like I wish them well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have nothing against the trans community at all. Like I'm all about the person.
Yeah.
If you're a fucking asshole, then you're just an asshole.
Right.
I don't give a fuck what you do. I'm definitely more of like a libertarian when it comes to like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely don't give a fuck.
Right.
If you're a good person, then cool.
I also want to make it clear that I'm not like trying to attack any of these people. I'm going at meta. That's what I'm going at. Like, if you're gonna do something, do it right.
Meta's going down anyway, dude. Like, have you seen their fucking stock?
Bro, for them to say that they should be more sensitive to how the policies impact people subject to discrimination, like why shouldn't the policies fucking be catered to everybody, not just the people that are subject to discrimination? If you look at it, I think it's crazy to say, and people are probably going to hate that I say this, but white people are at the top of discrimination right now. Whether you want to agree with it or not, everything that is going on is going against white people, in my eyes. I don't know how you feel about that.
How do I feel about that? I think it depends on the area. I'm gonna revert back to my training, and I think it all depends on area. If you're a minority or a person of color and you move down to southern Alabama, you're probably gonna have a more difficult time than if you moved into Brooklyn or the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a white dude and you move down to like, I don't know, Hialeah, Miami, and you're living down there, or if you're moving to, the inner city south side of Chicago, you're probably gonna have a lot more tough time there than you would if you moved to the burbs or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go and say that it has a lot more to do with geography and location than it has to do with anything else.
All right, now let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Do you think that companies should be hiring off of race and sexuality? Like,
no.
When I say that,
no.
I mean,
no. Look, I hire people all the time, and I don't give a fuck what color you are, what fucking.
Right. So now when there's companies that don't intentionally not hire white people because they want to make a more diverse workplace, how does that not
100%
go against?
That 100% is racist, and
towards who? Who's that racist towards?
Towards white people.
Yep.
And those companies are being sued right now. Like, people are coming out and they're suing these fucking companies. I'm not going to say who.
Yeah.
But I just got a pretty decent settlement from a company that their recruiter sent me an email saying that we're not hiring any white males right now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
because they want to make a more diverse
I'm going
workforce.
to a fucking lawyer, and they didn't even charge me. They just took some off the top.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, this happens all the time. And it's like, and if that happens to you, fucking sue them.
But I feel like
this is America. You're allowed to sue whoever the fuck you want.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the whole
and that's what's going to change it. But that's what's going to wind up changing it. Like, it's so normalized right now that you, as a white male, right, you might get an email saying, oh, we're not hiring any white dudes.
Yeah.
And you might be like, oh,
fuck it.
Yeah. Where it's like, no, you should sue them, because once these companies have to pay fuckloads of money and, court costs and all that other stuff like all these weird settlements, it's going to stop, right? It's like Americans vote with their pocket.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you see all these woke movies that, don't really get a lot of traction, and they're like, oh, I guess America's just racist. Well, I guess you just lost $50 million in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're gonna stop making movies and shows like that because people don't want to fucking watch them.
Yeah.
A very small minority of people that have the biggest microphones, megaphones, are the ones that these companies and stuff are like actually understanding and listening to. Like, look at Twitter, right? They fired thousands of people. It's not the engineers, and it's really, I don't know. It's really funny because you see like this picture of Twitter, you know, I don't know, last year, 2 years ago, and it's like this whole big diverse kind of workspace. And then after all the people quit and all this other stuff, and the people are there like doing like 72 hours like in the buildings.
Oh, dude, there's people that are like sleeping there and shit.
It's all engineers, right? It's only engineers. And I'm not saying it's white, black, or whatever, but it's just really funny when you look at the pictures before and after, right? Because like
for sure,
I think we touched upon it during our last podcast where you know, you can get your degree in gender studies and all that other stuff, and it shows how valuable you are to like a company,
right?
When you're the first one out the door, when it's time to like actually like tighten your belt and
because what are those fucking what are you going to school for to like get that gender studies? Like,
dude, there's big positions out there for like chief diversity and equity officers and stuff like that, and they pay like a lot of cash.
No, I mean, I'm sure they do, but like, when the recession hits, are those motherfuckers going to be the ones that still have a job? Probably not.
I mean, even the engineers are getting fired right now.
Yeah.
I predict that because of all the software developers that are fired right now, we're going to see some pretty cool apps and innovations come out in the next 24 months. Because they're not working on some bullshit project at fucking Meta anymore or at fucking
I see what you're saying.
Microsoft. So they're like, I'm going to just work on my own pet project. And we're going to see
if
there's going to be, out of the thousands, tens of thousands of people, of the engineers, software developers and stuff that are laid off, at least 5 are going to emerge, and it's going to be some fucking next level mind-blowing shit for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy because I mean, in my industry and your industry, we don't really have to worry about it getting laid off too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, argument can be made.
Argument can be made, but I feel like shit's always going to be getting built, and I mean, unless this whole country goes electric in the next 24 months, then we're pretty good, you know? I
mean, even if everything does go electric, like, what powers the power plants?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, who's building? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even then, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think going back to I want to go back to how you said that they bury information in the media with news stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the government just released a whole bunch of new JFK documents from what happened back in, November 22nd, 1962, I want to say, where JFK was shot by who? Maybe it was Lee Harvey Oswald. What do you know about JFK? Like, you as a layman civilian that didn't do a whole lot of research, what do you know about JFK? Like, what did you learn about it in school? Yada yada yada.
JFK was the president. He got assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald. You know, just like the generic stuff that you learn in bullshit American history.
Like, do a brain dump. Like, how much do you know about JFK?
Not that much, to be completely honest with you.
You just know that he was assassinated and it was like a big thing.
Yeah. So
we're going to bring on Mindy. I'm not going to say she's a JFK expert, but she's definitely in the world of like conspiracies and stuff like that. And she definitely knows kind of how these types of things work. So bear with me, audience, as we get Mindy on the pod. So don't say anything, Pat.
Okay.
So just give me 1 second.
All right.
All right, Pat, go ahead and talk.
You.
Okay. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to go 2 and 4. We can see Mindy. Can we hear Mindy? All right, Mindy, go ahead and talk.
Hello.
All right, Mindy, what's up?
How are you?
Do we have a thumbs up from the Twitch? Can we hear Mindy on the Twitch? Give it 1 second. How are ya?
Doing all right. Just finished my last class to graduate, so I gotta wait till May, but I'll walk in May. Yay.
That is super exciting. What is your degree going to be in?
Biology, forensic science.
Are you anti-education?
In what sense?
In the sense that, do you
What
think
type
that
of education?
do you think that
learning in general?
no, do you think that income in America is more based on or less based on your education?
Also,
I mean-
Alex said we're good.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
It depends on what you go for, because if you look at jobs in general, the ones that we go to school for are on a hiring level. Like, how many do we need this year? It's projection. But what trade school, everybody always needs them, all the time. So it depends on where you want to go. It's like, what kind of education are you talking about? Like, useful education, like how to grow a garden in my back lawn, or how to what astronauts went to space. You know what I mean? Like different types of education.
Because actually me and Jeff got into a little bit of an argument about 2 podcasts ago about how, Jeff feels that, college education is needed to make a lot of money, and I kind of argued to the fact that, like you said, the trades and stuff like that, like you can make, a fair bit of money, being an electrician or being a plumber or laying tile or heavy machine operator. And so I think right now, college is obviously, the route to make a lot of money and stuff like that, but there definitely are other ways to make a living,
I was literally just looking on Indeed for jobs, and no lie, one of the electricity companies was like one of the main ones that was on there, and just different electrician jobs ranged from like 30,000 a year to 130,000 a year, just depending on the knowledge, pretty much. And all of them said degree or in years experience. So it's like, I mean, they even tell you that it's equal and almost even better. Experience to me is better than education. So
yeah, for sure, because you get that like hands-on experience, and like not to mention that in like those trades and stuff like that. Most I feel like when you go and you get a degree, most degrees you're gonna get are probably gonna be salary based. Where you go and you work in a trade and stuff like that, like odds are like they might be salary, but a lot of them are hourly when you're like an electrician or a plumber and stuff like that, and there's always crazy amount of overtime. You could be on call, so there's always you're never really capped off at an exact number, I feel like.
Or own your own company.
Or you can own your own company and make.
I know a good amount of people that have a trade and own their own company. So it doesn't matter because they're working for themselves.
So I want to get back into JFK here, but I will say that what happens typically is without a degree, I mean, how many people, like there are people without degrees that make in that 7-figure range for sure. But if you're working for a company, right, so say you're working for JP Morgan Chase, right, and say you're an amazing banker, or we don't need the mics because we're talking on the actual, so don't make any like loud noises or anything like that, okay? We don't, okay, so if you're working for JP Morgan Chase, you could be the world's best banker, world's best investor, all that other stuff, right? You're never going to get to that C-suite level without a degree. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you that because the board, they have to certify that someone knows what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And you could have all your numbers, you can have 30 years of experience, all this other stuff, right? But say the board takes a risk and hires you and you fuck up, what's everyone going to say? Why'd you hire the guy without a degree?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think without a degree, you're kind of capped. So even in like forensic science, they're never going to make you, the head chief, whatever of that department if you don't have like a PhD, right? Or, some type of high level master's degree or something. But anyway, so when it comes to conspiracy theories, which some could say that the education system is a conspiracy theory, Neil deGrasse Tyson actually came out and said recently that they don't teach statistics in schools because funding from the lottery feeds the school system. So they want people to keep buying lottery tickets essentially to fund the school, so they don't teach the school system, in the school system, like statistics and stuff like that. But when it comes to JFK, what I think is the most interesting one is how many people died shortly after. Like, I'm talking days. Sometimes, like, there's a few people that died maybe like a year or two after of unknown causes or whatever. But Lee Harvey Oswald died less than 2 days after. So basically, they allegedly caught him, in what's called the Texas School Book Repository, which I actually want to pull up, see if I can find like a Google Earth or something, so I can kind of walk everyone through it. I actually think I will do that. So there's this thing called the Texas School Book Repository where the shots actually rang out, right? And how many shots there were? 2, 3, 4. Like, there are some people that actually think that it's up to like 7 shots, right? And it's really it's crazy because they've done all kinds of studies, experts with like guns and stuff were like, oh, there's no way Oswald could have done all those shots within like a 6 or 7 second time frame or whatever. All right, so Dealey Plaza, this is the place where it happened. So Pat, I don't know if you can see this, if you want to lean over here. So here, so all the shots were taken up in this upper right hand part of the building, out of that window, right? So the president came down this street here, up Houston, right? So why wouldn't he take the shots when he's coming up Houston? Because it's a clear line of sight, and you're actually shooting straight.
Right.
He was actually shot here. So JFK got shot in the back of the head. I think he tagged him in the neck first, because you can see in the video, and then he took the headshot from the back. They allegedly say that there was someone here behind this fence here, and people said that they heard shots and they heard smoke. This guy that was working in this like train station building here, he said that he definitively heard someone and saw someone run away with like a rifle. This guy died. I can't remember his name, but he died like a week later. Right? So it's like, so he came down here, went all the way up Houston, and then took this left down Elm. And then this is where he was shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can try to find the actual video of him being shot, but I don't know. Mindy, what do you know about the whole JFK thing?
Lay some knowledge on us.
Y'all already ready for it? Just kidding. It was a CIA hit, essentially. I sent him some info. I sent Jeff some information over. But if you listen to one of the speeches, he talks about secret societies. And it's chilling when you're looking back at past presidents and their speeches. Each of them warn us of little things that's happening that we don't, we apply it to our now rather than thinking what could be. So we apply it all to the now and we just forget, kind of. But his father was very corrupt. So his father was in that line, and that's why all presidents, I'm not going to lie, all presidents are chosen. The vote just makes us think that we have power, but that's why all the shit with Biden, we know how that goes, but he stood his ground, and he knew some crazy stuff that was going on, and he didn't want to do that anymore, and he wanted to make a stand, and that's where a lot of people would be exposed and be put in jail if he were to do this, and the whole CIA being disbanded at one of those reasons being. So they did this, and it was this opportunity to do that. But I recommend all to watch Everything's a Rich Man's Trick. It's on YouTube, it's on BitChute, and it goes back and explains the whole story, and at the end, it plays the video and shows certain things one big key detail is things don't always get like the media. I honestly did. I'm all over the place, but I did a report on forensic science, and I did it on psychological operations, and went through all these operations that were known and publicly, like all this stuff. And I just even on that documentary, it shows them interviewing CIA agents and getting to all that info. But
so the CIA was actually watching Lee Harvey Oswald for months ahead of the assassination.
Well,
so
it gets deep into that.
Well, I mean, allegedly, right? Like, I don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes when it comes to, forging documents and stuff. But what we do know what happened is that JFK funded the CIA to do the Bay of Pigs to overthrow Castro, right? Mm-hmm. And Castro was in cahoots with, who was the president of Russia back then? It wasn't Putin, it was Chisov or something like that. Whoever the president of Russia was, right? I think what happened was, and this is completely speculation here, what I think is, Khrushchev. Yeah. So what I think happened is like if someone tries to kill you legitimately, what are you gonna do? Fuck you! I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
I think that Castro got with Russia, and possibly I think the CIA might have let it happen, or the FBI could have let it happen because they wanted their war in fucking Vietnam, right? Because if you look at when we went to Vietnam less than a year later, and you know how much money comes with funding a war and just like war profiteering and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's a big conspiracy, because Russia and Castro wanted their revenge, and the federal government wanted their war. So they just kind of, but I don't know. Hopefully I don't get whacked for saying that.
I was about to say, we're talking about the CIA and shit. We better tread lightly, youngins.
I know. Facts. So, I don't know. What do you think about my theory, Mindy?
Good projection. It's in a good, look up Operation Northwood. It's exactly, it sounds familiar, just a different kind of lingo. But it was involving Cuba and them planning, there's paperwork documentation showing they were planning to do a false flag to invoke a war in Cuba to give them a reason to go in. Also, that sounds kind of familiar. But they had the documentation, they didn't go through with it. But
yeah. There was Operation Mongoose as well. I'll have to look up Operation Northwoods for sure. Mm-hmm. It's a false flag operation against American citizens that originated within the DoD in '62. CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of violent terrorism against American military and civilian targets. I shouldn't be saying this because now we're going to get doxxed for saying that. Right. But
hey
no,
man, this shit's all on the internet.
So Operation Mongoose looks like it's pretty they're definitely connected. So Operation Mongoose was basically Bay of Pigs on how they trained Cuban exiles down in Florida to basically overthrow Castro. That's kind of, I think that happened back in the early 60s, like 61. And it was all led by JFK. So yeah, I definitely do. But do you think that Lee Harvey Oswald was the one that actually shot? Do you think he was involved in the conspiracy, or do you think he was just like a fall guy?
He was a fall guy, and fun fact, he was a CIA agent. So it goes deep. I'm telling you, it goes deep because the deception is incredible. It's a master plan that it's right in front of everybody's faces, but yet it's unknown because we're so sucked into the culture. But
so I had heard I had heard that he was a CIA agent because he was in the Marines as quote unquote a radio operator, but somehow he was going to DLI for Russian, and then he lived in Russia for a while, right?
He was an intelligence Marine, yeah.
And then another big thing that no one really ever talks about is how hot his wife was for him being he
probably his handler.
he lived in like a home. Like he didn't, like he was not a high status guy at all. So either one, his wife wasn't really his wife, or two, he was way cooler than what people gave him credit for. And being a CIA agent definitely kind of like holds like water on that.
So in that video, Everything's a Rich Man's Trick, I keep referring to that because it lays it out pretty generally in order to follow without having a lot of back information with it. But they go frame for frame with this video and the shooting, and they comment on bystanders and where their direction of view is, and those ones that were seen behind whatever that guy was a plant because there was nobody, and like they talked about how they kept making documentaries after it, and you know, continuing this theory of these men, and it's all bought and paid for. But if you look at it, the policeman actually gets off his motorcycle and looks into the drain, the little on the sidewalk, whatever that drain is called, because that's where the last one of the last gunshots came from. So there was like 5, 6, 7 gunshots.
That's what they said. I'm like, holy fuck! Like I was thinking that maybe Oswald only took 2, but like it's like like if you go back to when we were active duty, like what it means to be in like an L-shaped ambush, right? You take like the freaking grassy knoll here. I'm gonna pull that back up on Google Earth. Like if you take where the actual grassy knoll is here, and then you have Oswald, right? It's like he was literally taken out in like the perfect place of where you're supposed to fire at. That's why he wouldn't
take that first shot.
Taken that first shot, yeah.
Wow.
Yep, down
and
in
also,
fucking Houston.
when he got his motorcade started, his security guard tried to run in position like he always does with the car, but they pulled him off. And in the video, he's just like why wouldn't you? But it was all planned because initially, the guy up front, you could see in the video, he turns around and shoots him, his own guy in the car. So he shoots him, but he shoots him in the shoulder. But the only way they could identify the body, they did a body switch, and the person they used, the wife was like, that's not him. And even Kennedy's wife, she was very adamant that it wasn't him. And when he got killed, she wanted to stay with him, but they forced her to separate from the body, and that's where they did all this juggling. But nobody, even so many other members, were mentioning that it didn't look like him. And then they further on investigated some police wife, and she was saying there was issues and talking to this guy, and he had obviously said he needed to get out of town until it blows over. It's just, I said it's a mob. Once I say that, but it goes so much deeper with the hierarchy of the bloodlines.
So we're doing a picture-in-picture right now of the Zapruder film. See how we just got taken out like that?
Yeah.
We have to apologize to Tim because he's gonna have to either edit this out or blur this, I'm sure. Look at that. So it's like,
well, it's on YouTube, isn't it?
Like that shot definitely came from the back, for sure. And do you remember? Were you there with Drew Torres? He's a CPEC guy in security forces. He's down in he was my buddy up in Alaska. But I want to ask him, like, because he's 100% an expert in like sniper rifles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I sent him a message, and I was like, hey, man, like, what do you think about the whole JFK thing? And he was like, dude, like, did you see that bullet? It looked like it wasn't even fired. Because it's like, when a round is actually fired.
In this fucking dude's head and it just went boom?
Dude, I don't know, man. A lot of stuff happened. But look, see,
it wasn't his skull. It was a body double.
Pat, look.
That's,
so,
because if you look in the video, look, his whole head is blown off.
So,
like
so
the whole side of his head is
took one in the neck there. And then he gets one in the head. But allegedly, there were a bunch of misses as well, of like how they missed, shot the car.
Were there any like casualties in that shooting?
The fucking governor got shot. Like, so it was the governor of Texas and his wife were in the seats with him, and then JFK got in the back, and the governor got shot,
He died.
allegedly by a bullet that went through Kennedy. So the one thing that, like, I know people that have deployed know this, that if you get hit with a bullet, like, you can get hit in the chest and it comes out like your knee. Yeah, it's nuts. Like, the shit goes around your body like crazy.
Yeah, but wouldn't that have to be? Wouldn't that have to be a hollow tip though? Isn't that?
No,
That? Like,
no. So it's like the rounds that we used when we deployed, Mindy, they were like special rounds, right? They weren't hollow point. I don't think you're allowed to use hollow point when you're deployed because of NATO or whatever.
But aren't those the ones that go in you and then they like fuck up your inside?
So a hollow tip point, and I'm not a gun expert, but a hollow tip point, it basically comes in and it like mushrooms out, so that it doesn't like go anywhere else, essentially.
Dude, what were those bullets? I thought there was bullets that like do that.
So, but Mindy, we're gonna have to go. Loved having you on for sure. We'll definitely have you on in the future when we talk about 9/11 and flat Earth, maybe. So.
It's gonna be a long one.
Awesome.
Thanks, you guys.
See
Thanks,
you.
Mindy.
All right, bye.
Nice meeting you. Bye.
All right. All right. Can we get a thumbs up from Alex that we have normal audio?
Can you hear us, Alex?
We get the thumbs up.
Oh, it's a little behind.
Okay, that's totally fine. So I'm gonna assume that it's working.
Yeah, we're
So we have to watch that. We have to watch that movie that Mindy told us to watch. What you call it's like The Richest Man or something like that. But I have that, and we can definitely take a look for sure.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, what do you think about JFK now?
But definitely, you said you haven't watched Prison Break, but the shit that happens in Prison Break makes this shit seem more real. Like, I know obviously Prison Break's a show and everything, but like, Prison Break pretty much frames this guy for murder. It's an inside job. You know, the CIA and the FBI overtake everything and have these people that are hired. And then pretty much eventually when they can't continue to do their job anymore, they kind of just like wipe them off the face of the earth as like they didn't even exist anymore.
Is there a grassy knoll in Prison Break?
No. It has nothing to do with JFK. But what I'm saying is...
But I just
like,
want to hear you say grassy knoll.
Grassy knoll. So I think the shit that happened to JFK, like the way you guys explained it, like the L shape and where he got shot, and why is there 6 shots taken by one person? Like, that doesn't even make sense unless he has an automatic rifle. Like, I feel like that, like, or a crazy trigger finger. But then at that point, 6 shots, like, you've shot guns before. If you shoot 6 shots on a semi-automatic gun, the recoil on it, like, do, like, it just, like, you're not gonna do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are definitely people out there that could just lay down some lead accurately.
Lee
like
Harvey Oswald.
Well, the gun that he used was a very old, like, Italian-made bolt-action rifle.
All right, so that makes even more sense as to why he can't fucking shoot 6 rounds off in 10 seconds.
But Lee Harvey Oswald was a Marine.
Yeah, and apparently he worked for the CIA, but then, like, come to find out that he never actually worked for the CIA, which is fucking weird, too.
Well, no, so the CIA, like, when they recruit you, like, no one really knows.
Yeah.
Right, and it's very covert. What happens is, typically, is they like to pull people out of the military because you already have clearance and they already know that you can operate at that level.
Yeah.
Right. So Lee Harvey Oswald, he was allegedly a radar tech, but if you look at his military records, radar techs don't go to DLI and learn Russian. They just don't. They don't go and live in Russia. I think the guy was 24 years old. One of the most interesting 24-year-olds on the planet. He's been gone since the early 60s, and we're still talking about him.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting 24-year-olds to ever live. And was he involved? Like, I think he was involved, but I don't know at what level, essentially, right? I think that there's a really good chance that he was in the CIA, but there are a lot of accounts that say that he was just a complete fuck-up as well. But that could be a part of his MO as well.
That could be the fucking cover-up story, you know
but
what I mean?
100%, the CIA heavily recruits out of the military.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I mean, it makes sense if you have somebody that already can operate at that level in those type of scenarios and circumstances, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? It just makes sense. It's like, are you going to hire a fucking football coach to coach a basketball team? No, you're going to fucking hire a basketball coach to coach a basketball team.
No.
Same thing, you know?
I see what you're saying. What else you got on your docket?
I was talked about Epstein, talked about the Meta, talked about Alec Baldwin, did some fun stuff with Mindy.
I definitely we're about an hour and 10 in, but I definitely wanted to talk about the recession and the last big recession aside from COVID was 2008, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't impacted by that because I was in the military.
I was a
And
child.
you were 11 years old, 12 years old.
Yeah.
I think this one that comes is going to be really fucking bad.
What, like you think like the recession of like back when like our parents were like coming up?
I don't
Like
know,
that
man.
big? Like what recession was that? That was like, I don't want to fucking start rattling off years and stuff like that.
like
'cause
the Great Depression?
Yeah, what year was
happened
that?
right after the Roaring 20s. So it was like early 1930s, like
Yeah.
right before
You think it's gonna be
World
that
War
bad?
II. I think it's going to be really bad, and I think we're going to go into a really big war right after.
You don't think it's gonna happen before to try and prevent the recession? You
No.
do, but I don't know how much you know about the war, but like
The
these
recession's coming, dude.
these Russian motherfuckers are they're getting ready. And also, fuck, I don't have my phone, but we just signed another bill.
Did we?
Yeah.
Like for more money?
Yeah. Alex, do me a favor. Go on your Instagram and look up.
You can check. You can look on your
I
iPad.
don't have Instagram. Do you have
Oh.
Instagram on here? I could just pull it up real quick then.
Yeah, but
I'll pull the bill up because I follow
while
this
you're-
cool.
so
I follow this cool news network. If you don't follow it, it's Real News, No Bullshit. You guys should follow them because they
I'll definitely look at
they're not biased at all on the shit that they post.
So why the recession is definitely happening, and I don't think we can go to war right now. One, because the Obama administration laid off a whole bunch of military people, and I don't think that they've actually gotten those recruiting numbers back up. There's big recruiting issues because the military still has standards and everyone smokes weed now, right? I don't think we can do well in a war right now. I mean, we're the world's biggest superpower and we pretty much fuck anyone up. Like we could probably fuck up the whole world.
Yeah.
And I was just listening on a podcast that's really what our dollar is backed by. It's backed by the U.S. military.
Yeah.
It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by anything other than the fact that we're the biggest military superpower on the planet, and that's what our dollar is backed by.
So I'm gonna pull this up so you could see it too on our TV that we have here, which is actually pretty cool thing to use
Yeah.
nowadays. So the new bill that we just signed, $2.5 billion in military aid to package to Ukraine. It will include 8 Avenger air defense systems. I don't know what those are. Maybe you do. 59 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles.
So are they building those, or are they just sending Bradley tanks that we have at Fort Rich up in Alaska?
I mean, they're probably just
shipping
gonna.
those
I
over?
think they're probably just sending them because by the time they get them built, 59. You're gonna tell me how long do you think it would take to build 59 Bradley infantry tanks?
I don't know.
A fucking long time. 90 Stryker armored personal carriers, 53 mine-resistant ambush protected vehicles, MRAPs,
Yeah.
35 high mobility multi-purpose wheeled vehicles.
I mean, a lot of this shit's probably just left over
20,000
from Iraq, to be honest.
155 millimeter artillery rounds, approximately 600 precise guided 155.
They're probably all going to expire at the end of the month. I mean,
But
so
still,
hold on. So the military has surplus of ammunition, and I liked being in the military at the time because it'd be like, all right, a bunch of our M203 rounds are going to expire at the
let's
end of
just
the
go
month. So we have to
fucking
just have to
fire
go
these
ham.
bitches
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
So
no,
maybe,
I get that.
maybe a lot of these rounds are just going to expire, and instead of, just basically blowing
Dude,
them
what
up.
the fuck is an Avenger air defense system?
I don't know. Look it up. But
But that's crazy. Another 2.5 billion, dude. Like,
yeah, it's not like in the trillions. I could probably live with 2.5B from the federal government. But it's when you hit that T, the trillions, that's when I'm kind of like, what the fuck? Like,
it's this thing. It's like a Humvee with a fucking.
oh yeah, I've seen those before. Like I don't have an opinion on the Russia-Ukraine thing to be honest, because I don't know enough about it.
Dude, but what it seems like to me is like this is another fucking Cold War. How
is it a Cold War?
fought Russia without us even fighting Russia. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing. It's like, weren't we in Afghanistan during the Cold War fighting the Afghanistan, but Russia was supplying the Afghanis with weaponry?
But now we're publicly funding the Ukrainian war.
Right, no, I understand that, but like...
So it's not a Cold War.
Well, right, no, but like still, it's like we're fighting Russia without actually fighting Russia right now.
Yeah.
You know? It's almost like a dick swinging contest. It's like, whose dick's bigger?
Yeah, I mean, our dick is definitely way bigger. But it's going to get interesting once, if it's a 50-50 whether or not Russia actually has operational ICBMs. Do you know what ICBM is?
No.
Intercontinental ballistic missile.
Okay.
Like, do they actually have warhead capabilities?
Mm-hmm.
An argument can be made that if they did, they would have used them by now, because they look silly in the fucking media right now.
Yeah, but I also think that they're using shit that they had, that they were like, kind of like how you said we have so many rounds that they expire, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like they're using, like there's been articles coming out saying that they've been using equipment that they had that was just old. So it's like, were they using that stuff to like put on a facade that they're not as strong as they really look? Dude, they're fucking shipping like military guys from Russia to Belarus in like oil tankers on trains. It's like they're like Belarus is gonna get into the fucking war soon. So it's like what's gonna happen when that shit happens? You know what I mean?
I mean, no offense to anyone who's from Belarus, but it's basically a third world country.
I mean, they're pretty much Russia. I mean, even Alex said that the other day.
I mean, they are. I mean, they're not pretty much. They were part of the Soviet Union, and then whatever happened, they seceded. Now they're Belarus. They're not a big concern.
No,
it's
I
not
know.
like
But
it's not like, you know, UK being involved.
no.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, it's just another, angle from Russia to come from. You know what I mean?
No, it's true. It's true. So, well, I think we had a pretty successful podcast. We got our first guest, Mindy. We'll have to get some stock photos of her so we can put it. So we have Tim put it on the thumbnail.
Yep.
And then yeah, I think
today was pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so.
A lot of good topics, a lot of good stuff.
Do we have any Twitch watchers, Alex? Did anyone watch? We had one viewer. It was Mom. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom. What'd you say? Really? Who was it?
It's probably Tim. Tim's like, yo,
I don't know.
Easy on the audio. He has to edit this.
No, I threw it up on my personal Instagram. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
Some people. Who? Oh, because you backed out.
Cool. All right, guys.
All right, cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Cheers.
Till next week.
Like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.